With the trade wars, new developments can emerge at any time. Equities are the market in the limelight. Any increased tensions will heighten fears of global growth slowdown, might get worse, put downward pressure on equities. Alternatively, a deal with China or any kind of easing of tensions with Europe could rally equities. Here's where we stand. China. President Trump and his administration keep promising an awesome trade deal with China, and yet they keep delaying any meeting with the Chinese president to seal the deal. Most of the sources close to the negotiations are reporting that a deal might happen any day. Both sides want a deal. China is willing to pledge to buy considerably more U.S. goods, although we might note that this would have probably happened with or without a trade deal because China's in an economic transition toward a service economy. But it also seems clear that there are several huge sticking points. The U.S. wants to keep tariffs as an enforcement weapon, so the apparent compromise is to give the Chinese a decade to meet their promises. Pushing accountability well into the future effectively takes tariffs off the table, which will be a relief to equity markets. Now, the U.S. also wants stricter provisions on the protection of intellectual property, patents, and copyrights. The Chinese want the U.S. to back off Huawei, allow Huawei to expand into G5 telephone technology on a global scale without U.S. obstruction, and drop the extradition request to Canada for the Huawei CFO so she can return to China. These last items relative to Huawei appear to be what is holding up the deal, and at this stage it's just not clear what the compromise might be. However, news on this front could break at any time. Now let's go to Europe. The U.S. appears ready to expand its trade war with Europe. President Trump is rattling the sword of the U.S. imposing additional tariffs, especially auto tariffs on Europe, partly as retaliation for Airbus subsidies. Now that would be within the WTO rules. But if new tariffs are imposed on the European Union, then this could tumble the global auto industry from its current stagnation into a recession. Given how interwoven the supply and sales chains are in the global automobile world, U.S. equities would probably be hit hard. I'm Blue Putnam, Chief Economist, CME Group.